Hey everyone, and welcome back. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. April wasn't a bad reading month for me. I didn't read as many books as I normally thought I would, but that's okay. We're just easing into this, year, even though it's April or now May, nice and easily. First book I want to talk to you about that I finished is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. Now, I listened to this as an audiobook because I was at work and I thought, hey, why not? And also because I had recently watched the movie with my husband. The audiobook was available. It was a quick 3-hour listen, so that was nice. It took me the second half of my day at work to finish it, so it was enjoyable. It was nice. It felt like I was being read to the entire time. I could just sink back into my work and really just enjoy the flow of the story. The second book that I read in April was a manhwa, or a Korean manga, called Vampire Chef by SeoYun, and this was probably one of the most cute and aggressively fluffy manga that I've read in a while. So we are following the day-to-day life, so slice of life kind of thing, of both Chef Kijun and Miro, who is like a TV or an associate producer at a film studio that specializes in cooking. So what we would probably think is like the equivalent of the Food Network or something. It was fun. The twist of this is that Miro and Kijun had gone to elementary school together. In fact, I think it might have been like preschool. And at the time, while they were still in school together, Chef Kijun accidentally bit Miro. Now, this is because Kijun is actually a vampire, and he wants to create the perfect dish that tastes like human. And he also wants to be able to, obviously, partake in the blood of Miro. And so he opens this very secretive and exclusive restaurant, and with the idea that he's going to tempt her to come and do an article or a news segment for her show. I found there was really nothing graphic about Miro's need for blood, because they keep that mostly out of frame, or they kind of portray it as a dreamlight state almost, which is fantastic because it opens this ability for everyone to read this. And I read it as an online edition. I really liked how, while like his vampiric tendencies were part of the story, and the work-life balance of Miro, because we see her being very stressed and being extremely just stressed, and it's affecting her health, obviously, just like we see here in our reality, that the food that chef ends up cooking for Miro, his goal is to actually make her ultimately taste better for his consumption, but he recognizes that she doesn't eat properly, and so therefore he thinks one way to care for her and show her that he loves her and cares for her is to cook her really good food. Overall, I enjoyed Vampire Chef. I probably would only rate it at 3.5 stars though. But in saying that, I do recommend it as if you need something like a palate cleanser, no pun intended, or something just to kind of read at the end of the day when you don't need to think about anything. The third book that I finished this month was A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons by Khavari. And this is a book that I actually started, and actually I think it was one of the first books I started this year, but I read it as an ebook from my library, and so partway through the year I had to like give it back, obviously, and it just kind of fell back into my lap this month, and so I quickly finished it up. I think I was like at 87%, and so I was able to just like read through it really fast, and then I finished it in April, which is really nice, and I felt like a good serotonin booster. This book takes place primarily at the University King's College in London, and we are following Saffron, who is one of the only female, actually is the only female faculty member within a department of biology, but she specializes in botany. This is also taking place in 1928, so you can imagine just how hard it is for her not only to just do her day-to-day work, but to be recognized, because at the time her gender obviously would have been a huge barrier. And so throughout the book, that is something that we read and we experience, that she was not given the same opportunities as her male counterparts, and she is constantly questioned, and trigger warning for there is sexual harassment and other stuff of that nature. What happens is she's at a dinner party with some of her faculty associates, and she's talking to another younger colleague of hers, and who she ends up kind of having a bit of a something with, and not that it goes too far, but there is a tension between her and this faculty member, who is, by the way, not the one that harasses her. That's someone else, but he does have also a larger portion of appearance in this book because of he is like the dean or something. And so she and her colleagues are at a dinner party hosted by one of the main faculty members of the department, and they are getting together to celebrate the fact that they are going to South America in upcoming weeks in order to do like a survey and a travel trip to explore the different plants and you know, animals of South America. And it all seems really good until the hostess, the wife of the faculty member, collapses in the midst of their like toast, and they find out that she is poisoned. But just know that this is a really adventurous and lots of scheming and just a general shenanigans that ensue while trying to figure out who caused this. And there are definite twists. I did not expect who the culprit was at the end, so that made me very happy. And final book that I read this month was called The Vault of Dreamers by Caragh O'Brien. And so I read this one, and it was and probably is actually the only book that ended up on my TBR for the month that I actually ended up reading. I chose this because it was it to me felt like something very Big Brother. These teens are going to the Forge, which is a school that has like the Forge reality show, like how Big Brother is, where they're all on camera and they have ratings, and depending on what you do and who you interact with and how like your day-to-day life, you get to have points and you get ranked and stuff. And so that part really still felt like Big Brother, but this ended up not being obviously anything like Big Brother in the end. I found the middle to be, when she was doing her investigation, to be a little slow and a bit repetitive, but that's because of she's trying to catch the ghosts and what is happening behind the scenes at Forge School. So because she knows something's going on, this leads her to staying up at night, which is against school rules, to investigate. And so when her professor gives her the chance to do an assignment, where she can just really, the assignment is to fail. And I personally think she aced the assignment by the end of the book. That we see her trying to find, as she calls it, the ghosts of the Forge. So I found it really good. I would probably rate it a 3.5, just because I think it still could have been well written, there could have been more edits to make it better. But I think the overall concept was really good, which is why it's getting a 3.5. I am going to be buying the second and third books because I really want to find out what happens, how she escapes from the school at the very end. Just kind of stunned me. And yeah, so that was my April wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you got this far in the video, leave a comment down below. What was your favorite book that you read this month? I think for me, my favorite book would have been Potions, the Party and Potions book. A Botanist Guide to Parties and Poisons. Sorry, just because I really do enjoy learning about new potions, or not potions, but like new plants and their medicinal or death properties, as you know, everything can technically be a toxin if you just need to give the right amount of stuff to the person. So I think that's a series I am going to continue. Of course, I am going to finish reading the trilogy of Vault of Dreamers as well. But yeah, that's my April wrap up. So I'll see you later when we go into what I'm going to read this month. So let's transition into that. See you there.